Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy Smith. I am a proud member of the Cathedral Prep class of 2011 and had the pleasure of working here at Prep in our Advancement and Alumni Relations office. Welcome to episode number 99 of the Rambler podcast, where we are passionate about sharing what makes Cathedral Prep the standard of excellence. I'll be your host for today's episode, and we're excited to have Frank Lauria join us as a guest. Frank graduated from Lauria Academy in 2004 and is born and raised right here in Erie, Pennsylvania. He's a proud member of Blessed Sacrament Parish, and he's a lifelong product of our Catholic school system, beginning at St. Andrews. After Frank completed his time at Lauria Academy, he went on to graduate from Gannon University and continuing his baseball career at both Notre Dame College and Gannon, where he earned all academic honors. Baseball and Cathedral Prep are woven into the Lauria family story. Frank was a 4-year varsity player at Villa, playing under Athletic Hall of Fame coach Joe Lunger, transitioning from utility player to full-time pitcher during his collegiate career. His brothers Joe graduated from Prep in 2009, and Jamie graduated from Prep in 2012, and they both played baseball here at Cathedral Prep, with myself actually, during those years too. His wife Ashley is also a Lauria Academy graduate from the class of 2004, and he's the proud father of 3. Noah, Prep class of 2023, Jackson, Prep class of 2028, and little Francesca. His family legacy to our school stretches back even further, with his grandfather Howard Dobmeyer, Prep class of 1955, recognized in the Cathedral Prep President's Hall of Fame. Frank began his coaching career at Prep in 2017, serving on Josh Constable's original staff before taking over as the JV head coach in 2019, where he compiled an impressive 44-10 record. He was named the varsity head coach last season, prior to the 2025 season, and he wasted no time leading the Ramblers to a 17-5 record in a District 10 championship. He has helped develop 30 college baseball players during his time in the program, and he continues to strengthen Prep baseball from the ground up, restoring the Cathedral Prep baseball camp, spearheading renovation projects at Gate of Heaven Field, and building out the junior high program alongside his brother-in-law and Cathedral Prep Athletic Hall of Fame member Ryan Natupsky, who, I like this comment in here, legendary District 10 home run against McDowell is still a Christmas Eve tradition in the Lauria household. Love it.
That's right.
Off the field, Frank works in quality management at AmeriHealth Caritas and previously built a career in social services and healthcare, a testament to both his leadership and on the field and off the diamond. So a lot of great things in this bio, but Frank, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. I'm honored to be here.
And I tell you what, when I read the renovations at Gate of Heaven Field, I mean, that's been ongoing since my dad was the coach of the program, since I played in the program. That's a never-ending project there, is the renovations of those fields.
That's right. If you blink, the weeds are back.
That's right.
That is a labor of love.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it is fun. I played baseball for your dad. He was a coach of mine through the years of travel ball with Jamie, playing for the Roadrunners, playing baseball here at Prep with Jamie and Joe through those years. It's fun. We've had family ties for many, many years.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. That Roadrunners team was one of the original travel teams. You guys were trailblazers in a way with that, so it's cool that everything, just comes back to square one and comes back to baseball somehow. Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun for me when I think back to just what Prep means to me, and of course baseball was such a part of my fabric of my story. We mentioned my dad, having coached the program in the early 2000s, and then my story, playing baseball here for all 4 years. But it's synonymous with the Lauria name to me because I did grow up playing at the Carl Mango League with Jamie and all these different stories. It's fun to see these two areas of my life come together to talk to you through. Yeah,
it's very cool. And my wife jokes that you're at a sporting event, you can't throw a stone and miss somebody that knows my dad somehow through coaching youth sports and baseball in specific. So appreciate you recognizing that, and that is, baseball is just such a huge part of our family, and it is with yours as well, and it's just something I think we all really appreciate.
Yeah, and your parents are both terrific people and wonderful, and to your point, you go in the community. The odds are somebody will know of your parents from their involvement in the community and serving for so many years. But, going back to your time in your connection with the institution, you went to Villa, you graduated in 2004, you played for Coach Lunger. Can you talk to us about kind of, looking back through the years when you were a young kid, looking to attend high school, what made the decision for you to want to go to Villa Maria Academy at that time?
Yeah, so it was a really difficult decision, and I was prep through and through. I was signed up for classes, I was enrolled, I was ready to go to prep, and Coach Lunger just never relented in his pursuit of me. And they had an assistant coach, Raf Burgos, who was somebody who believed in me 100% of the time, and they had a big influence in my life at that time, and they were able to convince me that the opportunity at Villa was right for me, that we had a chance to do something special while we were there, and we were able to accomplish a lot of that. So the reason to go to Villa was mainly the opportunity to play baseball and be in a program with a bunch of people that just respected the player that I was and were going to give me an opportunity.
And you guys really did hit a great groove during those years. I mean, you had some great teams from what I recall. I was a little bit younger, but I remember the stories even my dad would tell about those Villa teams. They would always give them trouble.
Yeah, we that program was built from literally nothing. Coach Lunger was scrounging to get enough players to field a team for the first couple of years, and then he started to get some guys that turned the tide and were just bedrocks of that program. And while I was there, my freshman year, we got our first playoff victory. We also had our first victory over Cathedral Prep. That was a special moment for that program because I would say 90% of that team wanted to be a prep baseball player. And for whatever reason, they ended up at Villa. And to get an opportunity to compete on the same field and win was a special moment for us. So we had our first playoff victory. We had 2 victories over prep during my 4 years. We had our first District 10 championship appearance, and that laid the groundwork for ultimately them making the state championship a few years after I graduated. So really proud of the work that all of the players and all the coaches did to build that program into something that was able to compete with every school in the Metro League. During the 4 years that I was there, we were able to defeat every team. We're a single A school playing against some of the highest classifications in the state. So just extremely proud of everybody that was involved with that.
Sounds like a big underdog mentality, right? To go into each game, each season with.
Absolutely. That was it. Everybody there was hungry and motivated for the same thing. Everybody felt underappreciated, and everybody felt that they had something to prove. So we all played with a chip on our shoulder, and we were united by that. And that was something that was truly special about that program.
Yeah, I feel like if my dad or others are listening to this that was at prep during those years, their stomachs are turning a little bit as we're talking about this. But yeah, to credit where credit is due, you guys really did pave the way for the program and worked hard, and the success and those memories that you have and lessons, of course, in leadership, which we'll get into later, talking about your coaching now, I'm sure really impacted you during those years to help make the coach you are today too. And we'll get into that. But when you look back at your time at Villa, maybe outside of baseball, what things maybe stand out to you, from special memories or things that really signified what the school meant to you?
Yeah, the camaraderie at Villa was extremely special. It was a small school that had undergone a really significant transformation from going to an all-girls school to a co-ed school. And, you're on somebody else's turf when you're a male at that school, and you have to respect that, but you're never made to feel inferior or as a visitor. It was a real family environment, and there were just so many great activities that we did from Mary's Day, especially Sports Day, and so many traditions that have carried over from Villa to prep that I'm really happy that they still honor. And just the family environment of Villa, the care that people had for that school and for the legacy. And it's great to see that people are still trying to push that legacy forward now that the schools are combined. It was a special place full of special people, and I'm just glad to have been somebody that was able to, walk through those doors and then walk out of them as a graduate.
Yeah, and pretty unique opportunity for you being your oldest graduate in 2023, correct? So was he the first class of the co-ed school?
I believe so. Yeah, he was. He had an interesting 4 years with the renovations,
right,
COVID, and the integration of both schools. So he got his money's worth during his 4 years.
Yeah, quite the difference between your current student in the building from his experience. But nonetheless, I'm sure it's really great for you to see the integration of both schools with, as you mentioned, the traditions, the legacy that both Cathedral Prep and Villa Maria Academy, that's just kind of woven into your DNA now between your family and yourself.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it goes back, I know we mentioned my grandfather, it goes back to the 1920s. My grandmother was Helen Brucher, and she graduated from Villa early 1920s. We still have those yearbooks on hand at our house. So I'm at our family's at 100 years of companionship with both schools, and it's something that's really special and unique to Erie and unique to Prep and Villa. I'm just so happy to have been a part of that.
Yeah, and we were talking about you played for Coach Lunger, who Athletic Hall of Fame. We just inducted him this past year or so into that. And what an honor for you to be a part of his program. And you talked about how, he really recruited you and showed you, there was a good place for you at Villa, that you could, be a significant person to contribute to his vision for the team. I guess when you reflect on those years playing for him, what's maybe one lesson that you took from him that still shows up in kind of how you conduct yourself as a coach today?
To narrow it down to one is really difficult, and short sells what he meant to me and so many of my teammates that were privileged to play under him. But I think the number one thing that he taught that was just a reinforcement of what my dad taught was baseball is a fun game. So obviously there's times where it's dead serious and you've got to work your butt off to get where you want to be, but you do it because you love it, you do it because it's fun. He always had the ability to keep practices light. When it was time to pull back off the reins, he pulled back off the reins. He listened to his players. He was a partner with his players, and he was the ultimate players coach who was still able to balance that with holding us accountable and improving our baseball skills. So if I had to narrow it down to one, it would be that he never lost sight of the fact that baseball is supposed to be fun. And I really respect him for being able to keep it fun, keep it informative, keep it challenging, and the proof is in the pudding with his results.
Well, especially when you get to the high school level of coaching, as you obviously have been a part of now for so many years, there's a lot of pressure that comes with, whether it was at the time building the Villa program or now for you wearing the CP on your chest. There's a lot of pressure that comes with wanting to be successful, in the world of baseball and high school athletics here in Erie. But to hear that he still had that element of fun, that it is a game, and we're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids playing a game that, we love, and at the time learning how to do that at the next level, it can be a challenge. So it's great to hear that those are some lessons that, you learned from him early on and, you're still looking to implement for your team today. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and I respect your perspective on the pressure that comes with it, because I know your family lived that, and from an outsider's perspective, you may not feel it necessarily, but it exists, and, there's the saying, pressure is a privilege, and it's true, but the pressure still does exist. So, kudos to him for being able to balance all of that, and I hope that I can do a fraction of what he did for the youth of Erie and the baseball community. Yeah,
well on your way. I mean, you've been a part of the program since, 2017 we were reading. You've been the JV head coach, and now you're the varsity head coach, and congratulations on your first season as well.
Thank you.
Good to get the first one under the belt, right?
Yeah. There was a mixture of anxiety and excitement leading up to it, because you know you can do it deep down, but you still have to prove it to people. So it was like the nerves, am I gonna do this? I feel like I can do it. I know I can do it, and then actually being able to have a successful year, albeit falling short of our ultimate goal, but we did have some success, so it was good to get that one under the belt. Yeah, no doubt. I always appreciate this time of the year. I was talking to some colleagues of mine about once it turns to March, my mind starts thinking spring, because having played baseball all those years, we were talking about this before we started recording. I'm picturing myself in the prep gymnasium with the batting net, cage that's out, taking ground balls on the gym floor, running the staircase, all 4 floors, going to the student lot, getting fly balls. At the time of March, I start to think of those types of things that we had to do. But you guys have some great facilities you get to use, nowadays compared to back then when we were coming up through the ranks. And it's great to see that, between Gannon and some other local places that you guys have been able to utilize for, that spring training type of season here in Erie. Yeah, it's we're very fortunate that Cathedral Prep has such great relationships with Gannon and Mercyhurst that allows us to be able to work with them to use their facilities when it is available to us. And we have a great relationship with Bomb Shelter in Erie and with Dennis Brandell to be able to use his facility when needed. And it's just great to have those community relationships and be able to lean on people, because you can't do this by yourself. And it takes an army to make this work, and those people are involved with it. And I'm just ever appreciative of everybody that is on the outskirts of this program who makes everything possible for the young men that we have in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing before we get started into some more of the baseball conversation is I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of reflecting about that legacy of Cathedral Prep and Villa Maria Academy before we start talking baseball too further. So Cathedral Prep, you know, it runs deep in your family. You know, we were talking about your brothers and your grandfather. You mentioned now your grandmother with or great grandmother with Villa Maria Academy, and now your own kids, you know, walking the halls of Prep. I guess, you know, to kind of start off this conversation a little bit further, what does that legacy of Cathedral Prep and Villa Maria Academy, you know, mean to you personally, and then also now as leading, you know, a keystone part of the program for the school at that level?
It's a huge privilege, and it means the world to me, because if you're familiar with Erie, you're familiar with Villa, and you're familiar with Prep. They've been legacy institutions within the city that have developed some of the best minds and the leaders, not just here, but nationally. The graduates that leave Prep and that have left Villa have done amazing things throughout the world, and to be somebody who has an opportunity to contribute to that and add another name to people that have been able to give back and better the lives of other people means the world to me. My earliest memories go back to doing things with Prep. My grandfather owned a photography studio who did a lot of work with Prep, and there was always Prep students in there getting their pictures. We were always at Prep photographing events, getting to the athletic events. So it's like, I don't know, God Country Cathedral Prep is kind of like a real thing in that sense, because it's just always been there. It's always been there in my life as something that I'm either directly involved with or is right on the outside of my life. So it's very humbling, and it's just a huge honor to be able to represent the school.
Your grandfather did my senior pictures, actually. He was still doing it until most recently.
You and probably 10,000 others. So there's a lot of, he had a wide net for the amount of people that he was able to interact with through that photography studio, and I miss those experiences. It was a unique place, and you know, just proud of him for all the work that he put in, because I think him doing all of that helped lay the groundwork to get me to this position. And a lot of the lessons that I learned about life, about professionalism, being prepared, the way to treat people, I learned at 404 West 8th Street in Howard's Photography.
Yeah, that's awesome. And to your point with the legacy, too, of the institutions, I mean, that's one of the things that really stands Prep apart in the community as well, is just being that beacon of, you know, an over 100-year, you know, tradition of how we conduct ourselves, you know, personally, professionally, and the type of students that we put out, as you mentioned, nationally, the leaders that are out there in their communities in their own right. And of course, here in Erie, it's very evident of that as well. It's a special thing to be a part of, and when you do get on the side of it from a student perspective, now a parent perspective that you've worn, and now as, you know, a staff member, as a coach, you get to see through different lenses of what it means to be a part of that legacy.
Yeah, and it was transformative for me to be able to get on that coaching staff, because I mean, you can understand what Prep is about, but I'm not gonna pretend that I was a Prep grad and that I know everything that Prep is truly about. Once you're in those halls, things are different than they are outside of the halls, and to be able to see that now just really reinforces what I already thought and what I already knew. And it's just great to see how many young men's and young women's lives have been touched by both schools and are you know, guided by Prep at this point.
Yeah, and that's kind of the tagline I start the podcast off with saying the standard of excellence, you know, and having people as guests on as yourself to really exemplify how you're being, you know, a standard of excellence out there in the community and representing the Cathedral Prep and Villa Maria alumni community with the work you're doing, and now as a coach, of course, as well. And, you know, you were mentioning when you first started to become part of the staff, you know, starting to learn about that Prep culture, you know, not taking it for granted for the fact you went to Villa, but, you know, what it truly meant to be here at Prep. But what else did you learn in those early years, as you were coaching here at Prep and outside of the culture part of it, being under Josh Constable's staff, what was it like for those early years you were being around the program?
It was a great opportunity, and it was a crash course in learning how to be prepared, be accountable, and be loyal to the people that you're working with and the people that you're working for. I always felt like I was able to prepare for baseball pretty well. I had coached a couple different stops with youth sports prior to that as a head coach, so I felt like I at least had my ducks in a row from a preparation standpoint. And then working under Josh was like getting a master's in how to prepare, how to scout, how to run a practice, how to hold people accountable, how to work cohesively with your coaches. I'm just going to forever be grateful to him for all the lessons that I learned under him, and it was truly a privilege to be on his staff for the time that he was here.
Yeah, I had him as a guest on the podcast a few years back, and had that same type of experience, just understanding, wow, this guy, he's got his stuff going in the right direction. No wonder why, he does what he does professionally. He's been so successful as a coach. He definitely has his head on straight and knows how to orchestrate all those different facets you just mentioned.
It's probably not his saying, but he would repeat it often: success leaves clues, and I appreciate all the clues that he left me.
And it was great to see that the continuity in a program where somebody who was under his staff is able to now take the next, the torch, so to speak, in leadership and continue to run the program. I think it speaks to the success that he had, that somebody inside the program could continue to run it. And then also continuity in the program, that now you're at the helm of it and you get to lead it to the next level. And how would you say your leadership style has evolved? Maybe from when you first started coaching to, most recently now as the varsity head coach.
Yeah, it has had to undergo a complete transformation, because when I first started, I was a JV assistant coach who had the opportunity to work with the infielders at times. And those relationships are more of a friendly level with the players. Like, I'm not writing lineups, I'm not making decisions on their playing time, whether they get cut or not. My sole job is to make them better at baseball and get to know them on a personal level. So that was great for the time being, but as I continued to move up into the JV head coach role, things become a little, I don't want to say less personal, but they have to be less personal, because you're making decisions for the best of the organization and the best of the future of the program. We need to develop the JV team to win and get those kids to become functional varsity players. So there's hard decisions that come with that. And then moving up a seat to the varsity head coach, there's a whole heck of a lot more hard decisions that come with that. So that is one thing that I've really had to change, was just to be able to have the confidence to have difficult conversations with people, to make decisions that people don't necessarily like but are in the best interest of the program. And part of that growth was the knowledge that you need to explain people why you're making those decisions, and to do it respectfully. And sometimes I tell a young man something that breaks his heart that day, and it's not intentional, but it's just the reality of the business that we're in. But I try to do it in a way where we're still going to support that young man, and we're still going to be there. We're still going to coach him. He might not like that decision today, but that might be, the springboard for him working a little bit harder to get a little more success. So that is probably the area that I've grown the most. Just leading and being able to make hard decisions in a manner that is kind but firm.
Right. And you know what? People respect that. Even if they aren't fans of the decision at the time, they don't like the conversation. I think years down the road, anybody with an honest, mindset would say they appreciated that transparency, and it wasn't a lie or fabricated or a workaround reason. They'd rather just have somebody giving it to them as it is. Even if they are a 16, 17-year-old kid, those are lessons they'll carry on the rest of their lives.
I hope, and I appreciate you mentioning that, because there's, it's 100% true. There's plenty of lessons that I got from my time at Villa with teachers holding me accountable that I didn't understand at the time. But the things that I was doing in high school, if I thought I was going to transfer that to the professional world, I would have had a very short career everywhere that I went. So I do hope that people can understand why people hold others accountable, and that it's not out of anger or spite. It's out of love, and it's out of a desire to see those people overcome those obstacles, not repeat any mistakes like that, and then just position themselves to be successful, people out in the community.
And I mean, so bringing up again, the tagline, standard of excellence, that also comes with the expectations that that's what we're pursuing here. So that also puts a reality on the coaches and the players that, look, this isn't just any other program. We perform at this level, and that's the expectation that, I'm sure you hold your kids accountable to. But I remember being a student athlete here at Prep, and whether it was in the classroom or on the field, I held myself to a higher standard of how I expected myself to perform. So that innate pressure I put on myself forced me to work a little bit harder in the off season, because I knew there was other guys gunning for the outfielder spots, and if I didn't work my butt off, I might get cut, because these underclassmen were pretty good, like Jamie and others, that your brother, and that pressure forces you to either grow with it or to quit. But Cathedral Prep creates that environment that encourages you to push yourself to be better.
I agree with that 100%. Doug Chusey, the girls basketball coach, says it all the time. Iron sharpens iron. And we've been able to get some new blood into the program, and they immediately recognized that. Like, wow, this is the talent level, the commitment level. It's high here, and we have to elevate ourselves to reach the goals that we want to reach personally, and then from those kids elevating themselves, it elevates the team. So I really respect that you have a firsthand knowledge of that and everything that comes with it, because it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
Like the difference between a starter and the last guy on the bench at Prep is razor thin sometimes. There's talented kids all over those rosters. There's talented kids that aren't playing sports at the school that would potentially be role players or starters at other schools around town. And the level is just so competitive here, and it sharpens people. And you're going to learn at a young age, I need to put in extra work if I want to be what I want to be. There's no coasting. If you coast here, you get passed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You have to put in that extra work if you want to be great, and that's the goal of all of us, whether it is in academics, in theater, in athletics, in whatever it is that somebody's a part of here at Prep. We want them to do their best, and we don't want this to come across as we're demanding this and that. I think we try to meet the kids where they're at. If their goal is to be an excellent baseball player, they're in the right place for that. If their goal is to be an excellent theater person here at Prep, they can accomplish that too. Cathedral Prep allows that environment to allow kids to be successful at whatever level it is that they choose, and we hope it's at the highest level that it is that they pursue. I also recently, speaking of creating that culture, I saw recently you guys did like a winter Rambler skills, camp of sorts. That's the first I think I've seen of like a winter baseball camp. Can you talk a little bit more about that, how that came about?
Yeah, so that goes back to me being probably 9 years old and never missing either session of Coach Dan Brzezicki's baseball camps. I still think I have a number 19 Prep jersey hanging in my parents' closet that was probably the size of a nightgown on me when I bought it. But that was something that I really, really enjoyed going to as a youth. And it's a challenge to reinstate a baseball camp with the weather that we have and some of the other, I guess, restrictions that would be in place, I guess is the best way to put it. But we were super fired up to get that going again this January. We had great support from some local youth travel teams to encourage their kids to get to that, and we were able to reinstate that camp. We had about 45 campers there from, I think, ages 8 to 8th graders. We're able to identify some kids that will be coming to Prep, get to know them a little bit better prior to their enrollment, and hopefully open the eyes of a lot of people that were able to send their kids to that camp about what our culture is, the way that we work. The response that we got back from that was overwhelmingly positive, and we're looking forward to doing it again because it's always good to be able to give opportunity for people to see what Prep is all about. Like I joked that we had the opportunity to run a 3-hour commercial for our baseball team with all of these kids here and all of their parents watching, and for the most part everybody seemed to have loved it. So I think that's something that we really want to continue to do and continue to strengthen, because that's going to give back to the school in a way that is really essential to continue to get kids enrolled and to keep the athletic programs top tier like they are.
Well, it's fun to hear the youngest age was 8, because my oldest is 7. So he will definitely be looking out for that information next year for sure.
Absolutely. We'd love to have him.
Yeah. And if anybody else is like me listening to that and wants more information, I guess contact the athletic department, Patty Clucker, Bill Flanagan, or Frank here. He'll get you more information for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Those will be any sort of camps we would put on the Prep website, in the newsletter, things like that. We've got a pretty strong social media presence on Instagram. I'll throw that Instagram name out there at the end so people can check that out. That has, that's going to have our schedule, any camps, anything like that, and just a lot of good content that we're able to put out.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I tag, the Cathedral Prep baseball program in these posts when we get that out there. So when you got to, so let's take it up till last year. All right, so you're becoming named the new head coach of the Cathedral Prep baseball program. I guess in your thinking, what was your first priority in terms of, okay, now you're the head coach, what was the next thing that you wanted to start working towards?
The first thing I had to do was set the culture, and this is not a knock on Coach Constable. I had to make it Frank Lauria's team, not Josh Constable's assistant coach's team. Because there is, you just think, oh, everything's going to be the same. We just hired an assistant coach, we hired the JV coach, everything will be the same. And like, Josh and I have talked about this plenty of times. I can't be Josh, Josh can't be me, and we're not going to try to be each other. So I had to put my spin on things, and I had to build the culture that I wanted to build. Sure, we took plenty of things that were already in place. There's plenty of things that have been in place for 100 years in that baseball program that are successful, and we're not going to change. But you've got to make it your own, or else you're just going to role play as somebody that you're not. So the number one thing, set the culture. And we did that by rolling right into fall ball. I got hired, I think the announcement came out on a Friday. I met Coach Mishler and Mr. Flanagan out at Gate of Heaven on Monday, and we had our first fall ball practice that Tuesday. So I let the kids know right away that we're going to get right to work. There's plenty of work to do, and that was my first step. Start building the culture of hard work.
And I love how you phrase that. There could definitely be a challenge in, you were an assistant coach in the program, now you're being elevated to the varsity coach. A lot of players, could be under that stigmatism. Oh, I played for him as a JV kid, and I know who that is. It's certainly having to identify, no, this is not necessarily a new culture, but it is a new culture. You wanted to put your stamp on the program, and it's great to hear that you've had that relationship with Josh to talk through those things, where we're not saying that's a knock on him. It's just, this is your team now, and those players need to feel that presence of this new program that's being started under your leadership.
Yeah, it was essential to put my stamp on it, like you said, and I feel like we were able to successfully do that through the hard work of the assistant coaches that I have. And through the support of the faculty and the administration of Prep to make sure that we have the tools in place to be able to build that.
Yeah. And I always enjoy having some of our coaches on the podcast episodes. I think it allows some of the parents of these players to hear a little bit more about you than maybe they already know, or potential upcoming, Ramblers to get to know you. But also for us baseball alumni to get to hear from you as well. I guess, what is your coaching philosophy? If somebody were to sit down and ask to talk through, your coaching 101s, your philosophy, what does that kind of look like in your mind? What's that sound like?
So I use an acronym for HEART. It's hustle, enthusiasm, attitude, resiliency, and then the T is interchangeable between talent and toughness. So with that, we're looking for kids who are hustling not just on the field, but off the field as well. Like, they're working hard in the weight room, they're working hard academically, they're working hard when they're at baseball. That you have to have positive energy. Nobody wants an energy vampire sucking the life out of a team. So whether whether things are going in your favor or they're not that day, we were looking for people that are enthusiastic about being with the baseball program. Mr. Flanagan said it this winter at the basketball tournament that we were at with the varsity team, that they are looking for volunteers, not hostages, and that's something that rings 100% true. We're not trying to drag kids out to the baseball field. We're looking for kids who are dragging us out to the baseball field to get extra work. And then attitude, positive attitude. Baseball is a really, really difficult game, and it's going to beat you down at times, and you have to be able to continue to have that positive attitude to be able to perform at a high level. That translates right into resiliency. Again, failure is innate in baseball. It's the first week of the season, and I don't think we've gotten above 40 degrees today, but we're going to be outside this weekend, and those kids are going to need to withstand those weather conditions and be able to perform at a high level, and that's building a little bit of resiliency in them. And then you add all those up, you're going to get, you have to have talent to be good at baseball, but you have to have all those other pieces to be a talented baseball player. And I think just toughness and tenacity just rolls right into line with the rest of those qualities. So that's kind of my philosophy on baseball. We're looking for players who play hard, love being there. 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts isn't the end of their day because they're getting a third at bat.
Right.
Those are the kids that we just love to have, and those are the kids that are really successful in our program.
Well, that's what's so opposite about baseball than all other sports, is that you can go, 1 for 3 on the day, and it seemingly is bad, but 3 strikeouts. But then the next day you got another game, and you might go 2 for 3. I mean, it's such an interesting sport of how failure is just inbred into your DNA of it's going to happen.
That's it. You can be the best baseball player in the world, be 0 for 2, 2 Ks, and come up in the 7th inning with the bases loaded and hit a double, and now you're the hero.
Right.
But if you pout about the first 2, you don't get that opportunity for the third. And I think that's just a great life lesson. You're just going to be confronted with ugly truths at times during your life and during your development, whether it be personally or professionally, and you can't let those things derail you. And I think baseball is a great teacher in that aspect, where you will fail. We've had great players at Prep over the last couple of years and well beyond that, and none of them hit 1,000. None of them hit a home run every single time. They still fail. And, they're going to be fine because of it, and they're going to be better off because of it.
Well, and what I love about your acronym between hustle, enthusiasm, attitude, resilience, and tenacity, toughness, all those are ones that it's all in your head. Yeah. It's all mentality. It's about how you approach the game. It's about how you approach life, honestly. Yeah. The skill of baseball, obviously that's developed in younger years. You grow it. You as a coach, you guys refine that with your players. But all these things you've listed as kind of the 101s to your program, I mean, those are things that's all a mindset. That's an attitude about how you approach it. And those are 100% controllable to the coaches and to the players for themselves personally. Yeah,
you don't have to be an all-star to exhibit those characteristics. And we have great players. We also have great kids, and then you're going to have players that get by strictly on grit, and those qualities right there can separate an average player and really make them a standout, because they're hard to beat. And that's a really, really special quality to have.
So tell us about the coaching staff this year that helps you, put this philosophy to the test. Who are some of the guys that are on your program, helping coach the team this year?
Yeah, so we're extremely fortunate that the school and the athletic department gives us the leeway to have a really robust staff. So we've got a laundry list of people here. I'll start with my brother, Joe. We have Connor Connell, who is a Cathedral Prep graduate, and Justin Scarpitti, who is a Cathedral Prep grad. They're on the varsity staff with me. We're also supported by Rich Colash, Mark Koshin, Luke Kingen, Jordan Fargiorgio, Charlie Spano, and we brought back to the program this year as our statistician, Mike Vitale. And then our junior high program is run by Ryan Natupsky, Dennis Brandell, and Ryan Irvin. So we've got a dozen, including me. We have 13 men who are 100% committed to trying to help young men get better at baseball and give them an opportunity that is second to none, and then set them up for success in the future, and hopefully give them an experience that they absolutely love and that brings them back to prep for the rest of their life. That's one goal that I had going into the coaching process, was to make sure that the kids leave prep after these 4 years wanting to come back. So that's our staff. Those guys are some of my best friends. Clearly my brother is on there, my brother-in-law, and it's just, I'm so fortunate to those guys for all the time that they spend away from their family and away from their personal life. It's not a late time commitment. We practice 5 or 6 days a week. Once we get into season, we go 3 days a week, 9 months out of the year, and the rest of it we practice hard. So I'm forever grateful to those guys for giving me the opportunity to lead this program, because if it was just me, this would be a catastrophic failure. Those guys beneath me lift me up.
Well, that's one thing I want to say on behalf of the whole community. Thank you to all coaches listening to this about your commitment to not just the program and your success, but the kids, ultimately. I think back to people like your dad and other coaches that I've had, my dad and others, and Coach Dave Hess, who was here as the head coach during my years. Just a level of commitment that you guys all exercise to be able to have that. To your point, you're taking time away from your family, you're taking time away from your own personal, activities, or, making arrangements around work obligations and whatnot to make it happen. I feel like today even it's harder now than ever, to make some of these things work out. But I always like to give your staff recognition too when having you on, because it takes that team, as you mentioned. And it's fun to hear those names. A lot of them I recognize from my dad coaching and, me having been playing, around the years that they were here. It's like legends of baseball from Cathedral Prep walking around those fields.
That's what's special about prep. These guys are eager to come back. None of us are getting rich by coaching. We love doing it, and we love prep. And there's no more truer words to that than to the guys that we have. Scarps, Connor, Joe, Ryan, and Dennis love prep, and they would do anything to see this program continue to succeed, and they put their money where their mouth is with that. And I am so appreciative of all of them, but especially those guys for coming back to support their alma mater. That's what separates prep, and that's what makes it a truly special place.
Man, you're giving me chills just listening to you
Me
talk.
too.
I'm ready to go.
Me
Where's
too.
the baseball field?
I'm
Get
looking
me out there.
outside and I'm seeing the rain, and it's like I got the equipment in the trunk. Let's get
Let's
outside.
go. Well, that's awesome. And, we're recording this. You guys just had tryouts, and we're not quite at the point of where you're, in the role of your season yet. But you guys will be headed to Arizona in a couple weeks to do some spring training. Yeah, I see the pump, the pump in the fist there for you. Looking out the window, it's cold and rainy right now, but you guys will be in sunny Arizona soon enough. And, what's that? I mean, you've been a part of that trip now and doing that last season and whatnot. Can you talk a little about what you guys are going to be doing there in Arizona, the games that you play, the tournament you're a part of? Can you talk a little more about that experience too?
Absolutely. First, it is a first-class experience for these young men, and thank you to Mr. Flanagan for creating that opportunity for them, because it is truly a special trip. So we're going to leave on March 24th. We're going to fly down on a Tuesday. We'll land. We'll grab lunch. We'll practice on Tuesday, practice on Wednesday. We'll play a non-tournament game on Thursday. We'll have a tournament doubleheader on Friday. As long as if we can win our pool, we'll be in the championship bracket on Saturday. And then once we get through the baseball aspect of things, we'll continue to practice while we're out there. We've got some great activities. We'll go to a Diamondbacks game, a couple hikes. It's just a beautiful landscape out there. The tournament that we're in is the Wolves Classic. Estrella Foothills hosts that. They're a school right outside of Goodyear, Arizona. Their coach, Patrick, has been a top-notch host to us for years now. They open their doors to us, make sure that their field is available for us for practice. And we're super excited to get out there, because it is just a wonderful, wonderful place to be. The field, the backdrop of the field is mountains, and it is picturesque. And I relish my time out there, because it is just a beautiful place, and it's such a great trip for the boys. It's the ultimate bonding experience. You're going to do baseball. There's obviously time with the coaches they're not going to be unsupervised, but they're in their rooms by themselves. That's where the team is built. We're building the team in the weight room. We're building the team on the bus. We're building the team on that airplane. We're building them in their hotel rooms. I had such great feedback. I mixed up the room assignments last year with kids that aren't necessarily best friends with each other to try to get the kids to know each other a little bit better, and I think that had a great impact. So that's obviously, you go out there to win, but you also go out there to build your team. Yeah. And that can't be overstated, how important that trip is to building the team and building the culture that we want for our season. And it's a grinder. We're going to play 5 games in 3 days, and baptism by fire. We're going to go out there and we're going to play teams that are 12, 13 games into their season, and there's a very realistic possibility that that'll be our 6th or 7th time outside by the time it's our first game. So we appreciate that challenge. You can't replicate that by playing local teams. You can't replicate it by playing in the South against teams that are coming down from the North. We're going to play teams that are quality teams, and they're in mid-season form. And it is just, that's a huge thing for our team to be able to put your feet to the fire right away.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you with everything you're describing about the trip. As you're talking, I'm vividly remembering in my mind going out there as a baseball player for prep, and the shuttle ride in the van with all the guys, and the hotel room and all the camaraderie that comes with that. And then also just being out on the baseball field at 10 o'clock in the morning, with that beautiful backdrop, and being able to really hit the season running hard. Back then, we weren't even a part of the Wolves Classic yet. My sophomore year is when Coach Hess first took the team out to Arizona. Junior and senior year, I was out there, and we were just kind of one-off games that we would play. And it was a few years later they started in the Wolves Classic, and I know it's been something we've been a part of for a number of years now.
How did you like that high blue sky the first time you saw a fly ball?
Oh my gosh, seriously, the backdrop and trying to picture where that ball's coming in at, it's different.
Our first day of outfield work is always our worst day of outfield work when we get out there. It's an adjustment period, and you can appreciate that, I'm sure.
And the sun's different too. We all had our cutoffs on, and we're all excited to be in the heat. The sun is different. Definitely wear your sunscreen.
Oh yeah. We need you not to be out for sunburn on game 1.
That's exactly right. So I guess with your upcoming season, outside of heading to Arizona and your coaching staff, what are you looking forward to this year 2 under your leadership?
I'm really excited for our senior class. We have 7 seniors. All very talented and really high quality young men. This was a really special group for me. There's a million reasons why I wanted to be the head coach at Prep. One of those was this group of seniors. I had them as their JV head coach, and we had a ton of success together, but success on the field isn't necessarily like a successful team. Like, you're going to be talented and have not the greatest team, but these kids all were bought in, and they were all really high quality kids, super coachable, and to have the opportunity to send them out on a really high note this year is something that I'm really looking forward to. We have a talented roster, we have great kids, and that senior class is really special to me, as they all are. But this one particularly holds a special place in my heart, because those kids, I've watched them since freshman year. Just work extremely hard with their heads down, and they're quietly at work while other people are sleeping.
That's great. Yeah. It's 7 seniors. That's a good amount to be able to have and feel motivated by. It holds you accountable too as a coach, right?
Yeah,
to be the best for them.
Right, absolutely. These kids deserve to go out on a really high note, and we can't rest on our laurels that we've won however many championships in a row. We have 0 championships this year. So the counter starts over new every year, and those kids understand that. They came into a very successful program, and they understood that success wasn't owed to them, that they had to do the work to be able to seize it on their own, and that's just a really strong skill to have, and I'm proud of all those guys for having that.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to get out to some of your games this year. I'm excited to go see you guys beat McDowell, out at their place and here at UPMC Park. That'll be exciting. Or wherever you guys play, if it's Mercer's, wherever. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see that happen. I got one last question for you as we kind of wind down on the podcast here. We've been talking a lot about the legacy of the school and the institution, your time at Villa, playing for Coach Lunger, your ties to the school and, your coaching staff, and now you're a part of it. I guess, looking a little bit future focus, 5, let's say 10 years from now, somebody's talking about the Cathedral Prep baseball program during these years under your leadership. What are you hoping that they're going to be talking about from these years that you're building right now?
I would hope that they're able to look back on a state championship. That would be the ultimate goal. That would be an incredible accomplishment, something that nobody in this town has been able to succeed at. So hopefully we can give that to the current students and all of the alumni and future students. Aside from that, and if we fall short of that goal, if we can be remembered as a team that won a lot of games and did it the right way, that we won with class, that we lost with class, and that we helped develop young men and transition them to the next level of either baseball or their academic career or even their professional career, that would be my hope. Just that people can look back and be proud that they were a part of the organization that we're putting together, and that existed long before I came. So I'm just a steward in a long line of people that have been involved with Cathedral Prep baseball, and I hope to leave it in a better place than I found it. And I have my hands very full with that because I found it in a really, really high place. So if we can elevate it beyond that, I would be tickled. Ultimately, I want it to be something that people can look back at and just be proud that they were involved with, and winning games would help with that too.
Well, Frank, I have to say, when I heard the news that you were announced as the head coach of the program, I was excited, thought you were the right man for the job at the time, and having this conversation with you even exemplified that further, that you're without a doubt the right man for the job, and I appreciate your mindset that you approach to the program to represent the school, the institution, honoring the legacies of the school, but also knowing the grit and the hard work that it's going to take to be successful and uphold that standard of excellence that we alumni and of Cathedral Prep and Villamere Academy are so proud of, for what the school represents, and for the young men and women in the school today and the young men a part of the baseball team. Thank you for that mindset and approach to how your coaching philosophy stands, because like I said, I've had chills through this conversation. I'm ready to get my glove and my bat and get out there and play for you.
We'll be at Bomb Shelter at 5:30 tonight if you want some swings.
There we go. I'll get it out there.
I thank you for the kind words.
Yeah.
Too kind. I'm just a guy trying my hardest to make other people proud. But thank you for recognizing all that goes into that. And you have a unique perspective on that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I'm sure our listeners have enjoyed the conversation as well. And I'll tag your baseball program and the website in the post and whatnot to be able to share that with people. And we appreciate all that you're doing, and looking forward to a successful season under year 2.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This is, again, it's been an honor, and I'm really privileged to be a part of this school. So thank you again. This has been very cool.
You're welcome. Thanks, Frank.
Yep, thank you.